Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is Friday, October 9th, 2020. What a week it's been. Am I the only one that listened to Trump on Limbaugh today? Because it was so good. It was so good. Now, you had built it up that Trump was going to host Limbaugh. And he was going to take phone calls.
He took calls.
Did he take calls? Because I didn't hear any calls. Were they at the beginning?
Yeah, he took calls. People were calling.
How long? Okay. So, I heard, how long was he on Limbaugh? I listened for 2 hours.
Like 3 hours.
Was it 3 hours? So I must have missed part of it. All right. Well, anyway, the parts that I heard were amazing. He was so down to earth. He was so himself. He sounded so good. Mm-hmm. So good. Like, you wouldn't know he'd just been diagnosed with COVID like a week ago.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. We're going to talk about the debates or the debates that won't be. We're going to talk about the vice presidential debate. We're going to talk about the declassifications. We're going to talk about this. You can't see her face. That's funny lighting. Okay, go ahead, Leah. Take it away.
What I really wanted, if I had my dithers, that we would just do an entire show, and I would hit you hard. Druthers, whatever. And I would hit you hard with all this information. I would have just, like, cut off the entire beginning, and I would just go with, like, Joe Biden is not the more moral choice, and this is why. And it would be a 60-minute expose, because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are as dirty as they come. They're as creepy as they come. Mm-hmm. And if we are having an election,
which we are,
based on...
Okay, we're having an election. Period.
If we're having an election based on merely the fact that people don't like Donald Trump...
Right, that's not
what's happening here. Because the media has used kid gloves on Joe Biden, which when he ran in 1988, they did not use.
Kid gloves.
They came out hard on plagiarism and lying about his college academic prowess. And they hit him over and over again throughout the past 47 years of Joe Biden.
Right.
Being in government office. You can see that the media has exposed Joe Biden. They actually have done the job that they should do.
They didn't
They
like
have
him.
exposed him for being creepy and touching people and
sniffing.
And sniffing people. There is actually a psychological sexual diagnosis of getting erotically aroused by hair sniffing.
No, there's not.
It is, and he's got it. He absolutely has it. Come on. He has the thing.
Okay.
Go, you know the thing.
First of all, I didn't know there was a thing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to share this on Facebook.
All right, so first off the bat, okay, because the one thing that I hear most often from people who don't like Trump is that they don't think he's a moral person, right, and they feel like he's a dirty guy or whatever. Well, here's the thing. We are in a battle of ideas and a battle of platforms right now, because we are not in a battle of a more moral choice. And this is what I want you guys to be able to go to your family and your friends with. Number one, Tara Reid. She was a Senate staffer. She went in doe-eyed to be... She thought Joe Biden was the bee's knees.
Right.
Until he spread her knees.
Oh, did you say that really?
Yes, I did.
You did say it.
Because here's the thing. If you vote Joe Biden into office, you have to know, and you have to be okay with the fact that he is credibly accused of raping somebody who does not like Trump, is a lifelong Democrat, and she explicitly says she will not be voting for Trump. She doesn't have any skin in the game except for the fact that she doesn't want Joe Biden to be president because she knows what he did to her.
Wow.
I was in my 20s and he was 53 at the time. He was very at the kind of near the height of his power as a senator at that time. And he knew what he could get away with and sort of just had this like image that he could get away with whatever he wanted.
Does this fit Joe Biden's MO?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
As you know, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I've said that many times publicly. I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I won't be voting Republican. But, you know, one of the things that's the most important thing is legacy. And I looked at my daughter, and when I came forward in 2019, she said, "Mom, he's too powerful."
Wow.
And that was like, now I have to come forward when she said that. Because then it becomes like generational abuse. Like if your generation, because you're around my daughter's age, thinks that you can't come forward with something inappropriate that's happened to you,
Right.
Or something violent or something awful, because the person's powerful, that's not right. We have to stop that perpetuation generationally.
Joe Biden has said women are to be believed. They should start with the presumption that they're telling the truth. Do you feel as though you've been given that presumption?
No, I think that's a hypocritical statement, because that's not been my experience, and he has said that in public. But then what's been happening is with social media and in the media, I've been pretty attacked and smeared.
Well, yeah.
And some of his campaign supporters and surrogates have been the ones doing the attacks.
Kamala Harris is now Joe Biden's running mate after saying that she believed some of Joe Biden's accusers.
Right.
How does that sit with you?
You know, what I am really questioning is on the Democratic, when I was trying to come forward, I think it's a nonpartisan issue, along with sexual assault and sexual, harassment. And what I think, though, is one of the things that struck me was recently she said, "I know a predator when I see one." And that upset me a great deal, watching that, because it's, again, like being erased.
What do you say to people who say they don't believe you?
That's okay. You don't have to believe me. I'm the one who has to live with it.
Wow.
So, ultimately, and some people feel like they have to smear me to vote for Biden, Americans anyway, and they don't have to. Like, I have a friend who's going to vote for Biden. She knows what happened to me, but she's not so much voting for him as simply not voting for Trump. So there's a lot of fear right now in our electoral. So it's not so much about loving Biden as about fearing the current presidency, and it's a very difficult place to be. I mean, it was excruciating for me to come forward, as you know.
It seems there was very little for you to gain in coming forward.
There's nothing to gain. And in my case, I lost everything. But what I want to do is make a path forward for other survivors so that they can come forward and not lose everything in the process of discussing their history.
So, thoughts on that? Let me go over here to Kamala Harris, who says she does believe Joe Biden's accusers. The hypocrisy of Kamala Harris saying that she believes Joe Biden's accusers is beyond what I can put into words. So we'll just let her words speak. Hang on,
I hate that we have to do that.
I know, right?
Dale Jones, if you don't like Trump, don't vote. Just don't vote for a Democrat predator.
And I respect them being able to tell their story and having the courage to do it.
Do you believe that the vice president should enter this race?
Grabian,
He's going to make
multimedia
that decision for
marketplace.
himself. I would want to do it.
She knew from the get-go that she could be a VP.
Right.
And to say, and this is from the HuffPost here. The HuffPost actually. This is like, you know, the farthest left as you can get. Kamala Harris on Joe Biden's accusers. I believe them. And to me, this is where I'm drawing the line with people. Okay, because now we're back at the issues.
Well, okay, but yes, if I were Kamala Harris and I wanted that VP seat that was going to lead me to the presidential seat more than anything in the world, there is a very simple out here. Okay, you just say, I believed them before, I was telling the truth then, and you come out and you say, but more facts have come out, I now know Joe Biden better, and I no longer believe his accusers.
Right.
That's what you have to do. You don't get to just kind of sweep it under the rug a little bit.
She says we should believe all women.
I know.
But she can't have it both ways.
Well, she needs to come out. She has to come forward and say, I don't believe them anymore. Or else she is a liar and a hypocrite.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, a candidate for political office in Nevada, says an endorsement took an invasive turn. ABC's Stephanie Ramos tells you this isn't the first time Biden has faced this kind of allegation.
Joe Biden is facing troubling accusations. Nevada Democrat Lucy Flores claims the former vice president inappropriately touched and kissed her head before a rally in 2014. She writes in New York Magazine that she felt powerless to do anything about it. Biden had attended the rally to help boost her campaign for lieutenant governor. Flores goes on to claim that moments before she took the stage, she felt the vice president get close to her from behind, lean in, and, quote, inhale her hair. She writes, he proceeded to plant a big slow kiss on the back of my head. My brain couldn't process what was happening. I was embarrassed. I was shocked. I was confused. He made me feel uneasy, gross. In a statement to ABC News, Biden's spokesperson says neither the vice president nor his staff recall what Flores describes or got the impression she had been uncomfortable. Vice President Biden believes that Ms. Flores has every right to share her own recollection and reflections, and that it is a change for better in our society that she has the opportunity to do so. This isn't the first time Biden has come under scrutiny for his behavior around women. In 2015, Biden put his hands on Stephanie Carter's shoulders, whispering in her ear during her husband's swearing in as Secretary of Defense. The Flores allegations come as Biden considers a possible run for president. Other contenders reacting to the new claims.
I believe Lucy Flores, and Joe Biden needs to give an answer.
Several staffers, including women, are coming to Biden's defense. One former staffer tweeted she never felt uncomfortable with how he treated her or other women.
Then he didn't sniff your hair.
Well, I don't know. Here's
Some
the deal.
women might enjoy it.
No, it's not. I want to be fair here, okay? In this conversation, there are men that act like that, and a lot of women give it a pass, and it does not make them feel uncomfortable. Okay? That it is a thing. It doesn't make it not wrong. It is wrong. If a man ever did that to me, I would probably haul off and whack him. Okay? But I think that the reason why they're not making a bigger deal about these accusations as opposed to the Tara Reid ones,
I was in my 20s, and he was,
is because a lot of these people are okay with that behavior.
Yeah. So I'm not going to play, and maybe it would be better if I did play her accusation, but I feel like it's the kind of a kid show. We want your kids to be able to be on the news. With this, it's kind of difficult, but
I want to rephrase that because of YouTube's laws. This is not a program made for children whatsoever.
Family news show.
The only thing is we want to make sure that if children are in the room and they just so happen to hear what is playing on our show, it is not
we try to make our
targeted at children
as family friendly. Here, people watch 5, 9, and 12 in NBC, and they watch it all day long with their kids and their families.
Yes.
We try to make ours at the same level if possible.
Exactly. We're not targeting our show for children.
Exactly. No, this isn't. This is news, obviously, for adults. I'm sorry.
Obviously doesn't cut it when it comes to these people that are insane.
Okay. Now, moving on. Okay, so if you guys want to, you can watch 60 Minutes Australia. Why our 60 Minutes didn't do this is anyone's guess. But she goes into detail on how he approaches her. He gets in her business and then rapes her. And she's very credible. She has nothing to gain from this. 100% believe her. 100% believe her. And so, again, Joe Biden is not the more moral choice. Now
what I find really interesting is you have to, as a voter for Joe Biden, Tara Reid says you don't, but I believe you do. You have to say, I am okay with him as a possible rapist. We don't know that he is, but it's if we don't know, because there's no way to prove it one way or the other, we have to say, all right, we're okay with him possibly being a rapist.
Yeah.
And yet we're gonna quote Trump saying that these women are so floozy that they would let you do these things, not I did it.
Right. Exactly. So this compilation, which you can find all over YouTube, but I would say a lot of it has been scrubbed. But the compilation of Joe Biden going up and sniffing young girls and women, especially in this is where he's swearing people in at the U.S. Senate ceremonies, and he always targets the young girls. He targets the teenagers. He always makes jokes, or the boys must
turn
be
it down
going
a little
after
bit.
you. Well, sometimes he says stuff.
Well, they're not going to be able to pick it out with us talking anyway.
He goes after the small. He always makes young girls feel very, very uncomfortable. And watch, he pulls them all next to him. Why?
Daddy put his left hand in the Bible if he can reach it, and repeat, and not repeat it. We're just going to, hey man, here we go. You ready? Do you solemnly that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the
He always makes the little girls feel uncomfortable. You're breaking guys' hearts, that kind of stuff. A beautiful family, blah, blah, blah. Again, more touching, more. I'm going to have the teenage girl, and I got to touch her. I got to put my hand right on her body. That's not where any strange man should ever put their hand on a teenage girl. Ever. There's no excuse for that.
Okay, but granted, I wouldn't, you wouldn't think he would be a strange man.
He's a stranger. A stranger. A stranger to that family. It's the first time they met him.
Right. Okay, here's he sniffing again.
Inner face, inner ear. He's still got his hand on her. We are not having a picture anymore. Here we go. More young teenage girls.
18.
18.
You all sisters? Sister, what's your name?
Creepy, creepy Joe.
How old are you? How old are you? He just did a video. There was just a video with him out with young teenage girls, young girls, saying in 4 years, I want to see you dancing again. Like when you're 4 years older. You and I can't get away with that. So then again, he always grabs a teenage girl to be by him, a young girl to be by him.
Your head is in front of the fact that he's got his hand around her waist again.
Again. And with the little girl in front of him. And then he pulls the young girl closer to him. He touches the little girl. She's pulling away. He touches her again. This is a pedophile. If you vote for Joe Biden, you're voting for a pedophile, and it's on TV.
Turn him down a little.
He's a daggum pedophile. I don't care. I am so angry right now at Christians.
I'm going to turn Leah's mic down, guys.
Voting
So
for
stop
voting
screaming
for
in
Joe
your ear.
Biden. And I'm going to keep the little girl in front of me.
Turning her down a little, guys. You're getting censored.
Here we go. Here we go again. Why doesn't the little boy go in front of him? Another young girl in front of Joe Biden. Where what is?
Now he's touching her hair. It's weird.
He just caresses her. He gets close to her. Why is he whispering in these ears? That is a romantic whisper. Why does he get close to whisper? And it's uncomfortable. I know what that is. I have been a young girl. I have been around creepy men. I know what this is like. I know who these guys are. You guys do too. And here I'm still not letting go.
They're all walking away, and he holds her back.
I'm going to
And then
touch
he
her
touches her
hair
hair again.
And I'm going to keep holding her. We're more pictures. Why are you getting a picture with the little girl? Why just the little girl pictures? I'm going to keep touching her. I'm going to keep touching her and holding her. And now I'm going to whisper with her dad and the little boy and the little girl. I'm going to keep holding her. And I'm going to keep touching her with nobody. And my back's to the camera. I'm touching, 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 touching. Okay, now next victim. Oh, another little girl. Oh, how you doing? And watch, we're going to pull all the little girls next to me. Doesn't matter. Littlest girl next to me, and then the teenage girl. And now I'm caressing the face. I'm caressing the face.
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
What are you doing? You pedophile. Petty-file. God love you. Here we go. And then the poor child, they got the thing over the poor child, the little Asian girls. This was the worst because they really tried to get away.
Okay, up there.
Okay. Okay. God, please get me away from creepy man. Here I go. And again. And again with the hair. Again. And I'm kissing and I'm smelling. Stop. 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 You pedophile. Stop. And I'm touching. And I'm touching. And she's like, oh gosh. God, please, 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 please get me out of here. Oh, I'm touching. Please, God, get me out of here. Please, God, get me out of here. Why are my parents letting this creepy guy do this to me? I don't care who he is. He's still got his hands on her. Everybody's done.
Stephanie, I need another one then, just the family.
We're going to keep going. There's a time when she really pulls away. I hope I don't miss it. She's looking up. Now she's really uncomfortable. Her sister has no idea. Look at this face. Oh my gosh. And I'm still touching the girl. I'm still touching. Okay, now can I leave?
Okay, you two girls stand right in front.
Why don't you girls stand right in front? Always the girls. Always right in front.
It's a hard. The kids can stand right in front.
Oh, the kids can stand right in front of me. Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
Phones it away, Jack. Move it.
I hold them near me. This isn't the first. This isn't the only time.
Oh my gosh.
Joe Biden compilation.
Okay, so hang
of
on.
Creepy
We're going
Man.
to get to. So this is a background that I think everybody knows, and I think
No, I don't think everybody knows. So I'm gonna. You guys probably do, but this is for honestly for people who don't know, and I want to be able to post this for people.
Right.
Okay, because I have.
Well, okay. What I mean is, it's to me an open secret that
Okay.
everybody knows that, like with Obama saying everybody got the Joe Biden shoulder rubs.
Yeah.
Okay. They think that it's all innocent. It's just that Joe is a touchy-feely kind of guy and that it never goes into creepland. What we're trying to showcase to you here on Resistance Chicks is that it's creepy. He has gone into creepland. There is no... I'm going to tell you, if you're one of those people that everybody knows you as the shoulder rubber, you are not welcome in my world. Okay? Because everybody that does it is creepy. Okay? If you either have it as a job or you're just a creep. Okay? This is the whole thing about Joe. It is
For your
creepy.
dad, first African American state senator in the state of Delaware. Everything about. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
It's so creepy.
No go. No
He
go.
is so creepy.
No go. No go. No
Oh my gosh.
go.
That is not surprising. That is not surprising. What are you doing now, kiddo?
Touching the cheek. Nope, thanks.
He tries to give her a kiss. That's so
Yeah.
weird. I know we've played these before, guys, but like Leah said, for people that may not know, and I don't know why that's so out of focus, but...
I was trying to get the one. There's the big sniffing. He doesn't care age, by the way. Oh, I'm in like Flynn here. What is that?
I have no idea.
Who does that?
It's incredible.
And then there's
there's-
this. This
it's
was
so
the weirdest
weird.
one. This super long, and Hillary Clinton can't even let him let go. Is he like drunk or something? Super long hug. Everybody knows he goes out. It's a fetish for him.
It's so weird.
It's more than weird.
Stuart the Brit says, I would like to say America is cray-cray weirdos.
You say that to somebody in North Dakota.
We're not
they
all
think it's a
Joe.
frisk. Spread your legs.
Dale says he was holding
wait.
Hillary up.
Okay.
Spread your legs, you're going to be frisked. Drop your hands. You say that to somebody in North Dakota, they think it's a
Spread
frisk.
your legs, you're going to be
frisked.
frisked. Drop your hands.
Oh my gosh.
And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you're about to enter, so help you God. I have no doubt. I'm heading up to Capitol Hill now to swear in new members and old members of the United States Senate. And as Vice President, it's one of the great opportunities I have. I loved the United States Senate. It was a collegial place. It has many friends in the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. And today is a really special day.
Thanks to give out here. First and foremost to my perfect wife, Stephanie.
Look at her face! She can't even!
Will, and my daughter Ava already mentioned.
Selfie with White Tiger in
Hey, Charlie, give that kid smile.
Bears. I need a hug, kid. Come on.
No! No, you don't go randomly hugging teenage girls.
Remember, no serious guys in your 30s.
Remember, no serious guys in your 30s. That's his big line.
Is getting to see their children and their parents.
I love to see their children.
When I reenact the swearing.
This is the creepiest one. He's like kissing her.
And then she kind of like pats him like, okay, get away.
Democrat. It has to do with having the out.
Oh my gosh, he uses it. It's absolutely insane. It's so disgusting. What else do I have here?
Here I am in the Senate office. Hi, Ben.
Oh, that was the rest of her. Now I want to move on from some of his creepiness to some of his most controversial remarks. We do know, if you guys recall, him saying that Barack Obama was the first articulate, clean black man. We're going to play that. We are going to play Go Go, You Know the Thing. That one was my favorite, by the way. So here we go.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking. Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains. Look, we need to reform the criminal justice to make sure black mothers feel confident when they send their son out on the street that he's going to be safe. We got to recognize that kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger. We have this notion.
He says that all the time. It's his favorite line.
Poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
That's also one of my favorites from Joe Biden, because just because you're poor doesn't mean that you can't make it, because poor kids are just as talented and bright as white kids.
And just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
You ain't black, baby. You ain't black.
It's embarrassing.
All right, we're going to skip the crotch grab here.
What?
The crotch touch here.
I never saw that. I don't want to see that.
And Kamala Harris believes the women. All right. So let's go on to some of Joe Biden's brain freezes.
I'm looking forward to this, man. You walk behind me in a debate. Come here, man. Rich Fitzgerald, the county executive, Allegheny County executive, for being here, and we know he's about that's who we are.
I don't even know what he says there.
303
Don't cover the subtitles.
And help me in this fight. We can speak out and be more straightforward. Senator Joe, I mean, but I mean, think of, it's not about, I know you're supporting by saying booing, but look, here's the deal. Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future. You don't have here in Miami, in Florida. You don't have it here, and that is, if you keep an audience. All these breakthroughs we have with the whole, dealing with the whole, help people who have or in fact are likely to get Alzheimer's by Wall Street bankers, CEOs, and hedge fund managers. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Right. I found that the secretary, we sat together in many meetings. My wife is a full-time teacher, taught all during being, when we were vice president. But President Trump and the demagogues around the world, how can a person dignity be maintained?
And she never yields. She does not break. She stands up.
The bills that the future president here, that the senator is talking about. We choose truth over facts. I keep my recommendation in private. Unlike you, I expect you would go ahead and say whatever was said privately with him. That's why I'll end the gag rule, the global gag rule that prevents money from getting to NGOs. $600 billion worth of loopholes in the law. Why they do that? I looked at it anyway. That's what I think my plan. I know what my plan does. By strengthening.
I'm glad you do.
By strengthening.
Strengthening.
Devastating diseases like cancer and addiction and Alzheimer's. In terms of the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacy, the way we've always been. Look, because we've neglected all my time in public life since I've gotten involved. Folks, we're virtually energy independent. That's the essence of what my plan in detail lays out. I'm happy to discuss it more in detail if the Senator wants to. And so that triumph of democracy and liberalism over fascism and autocracy. And you heard it in the debate.
Fashion and autocracy.
John McCain. I don't recognize him anymore. We invested significantly in this city, in transportation, anyway, the point is we made significant investments in this state, I expect, in this city. They also got that last year out of the statement, the mission statement of our citizenship and immigration services, and partnerships built on coercion on non-traditional threats, like weaponized corruption. We cannot be a credible voice on the proliferation of nuclear security and on proliferation of nuclear security. We'll look for enforceable commitments. They'll reduce emissions. I'm looking forward to this, man. You walk behind me in a debate. Come here, man.
I don't play that to make him look bad. I play that so that people know that he is not cognitively all there. Now, we make flubs.
Yeah, I was just
all the time.
Yep.
All the times. The times. But you can tell that Joe Biden's, it's like he's like a record that keeps skipping.
It is.
And it's not just because there's a compilation here. These aren't just gaffes. These are mental.
Well, there were many that they didn't put in that compilation.
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. The president has a big stick. We choose truth over facts. Check my shape on. Let's do push-ups together again. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
Barack America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
This is a big effing deal.
We can speak out and be more straightforward. I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
Hillary Clinton is as qualified or more qualified than I am to be Vice President of the United States of America. Let's get that straight. And quite frankly, it might have been a better pick than me, but she's first rate.
I know I'm called middle class, Joe. It's not meant as a compliment. It means I'm not sophisticated. I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. I can get things done. That's why I'm running. If you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together again. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. To the word united. To the number 30330. 30330. Or 303-330. Or BOO. Wait. But you got it.
Wait.
That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2-point-something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air.
Okay. Are we working on the gasoline? Are we working on CO2? Or are we working on the dollars? Because I don't know what you just said there, honey. Okay, let's save. I like saving billions of stuff. But what are we saving? Just tell me. Just tell me.
Folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth.
We're going to eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth.
$1.4 trillion worth.
Ooh.
Out of $1.4 billion, excuse me, $1.4 billion.
Wait a minute. What number is it?
We've been saying it so much. And by the way, it's cost a lot of money. It cost about $740 billion over 10 years.
$1 billion. Doesn't matter. Okay, there's a big difference between 700 million and 700 billion. This is 700 million billion.
Is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote. I promise you, the president has a big stick. I promise you.
Joe, you want to administer the oath?
Am I doing this again? My memory is not as good as Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts. I was a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus?
I was a Democratic caucus. I was the whole caucus.
No, you haven't. You're a lion, dog, faced pony soldier. You said you were.
Lion, dog, faced pony soldier.
You gotta be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids. In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven.
I can't believe no one has the go-go, you know, the thing on here. You better have it.
I'm not joking.
I want to see
Graham,
it.
State Senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. His mom lived in Long Island for 10 years or so. God rest her soul. And
she's not dead. She wasn't dead.
She's sweet. Your mom's still alive as your dad passed. God bless her soul.
Oh my
I agree with
goodness!
everybody once they in fact they anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Vice President.
Paige
He did that a lot with the "My Time's Up" thing. He was always doing that. I'm worried about the songs getting copyrighted. That's all.
All men and women were created by go. You know the thing.
That is my favorite. Go,
you know the thing.
That's my favorite. My favorite.
All men are created by go, you know the thing.
You know the thing. All right, so
now all of that is what I would consider, in our case, circumstantial evidence, right? That we are going to lay down. As a Christian, we are going to get to the nitty-gritty, the be-all, the end-all, the completely uncontroversial, straight from the horse's mouth, why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not the more moral choice.
So there's a video out with Joe Biden. JoeBidenIsSick.com, and you can see that he has the gait of somebody with Parkinson's. And I don't want to be a medical doctor person, but he has a resting shake, and that is sad. But it's not something that the Democrats want.
We see another trimmer that throws his full body into an involuntary spasm until he regains his composure by pulling down on his suit jacket.
So I'm going to skip the Parkinson's walk thing, but
I don't know.
Everybody's saying that Trump's not being forthright with his medical, and no, Joe Biden is not.
Right.
Okay, he is not okay. He is not go okay.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Difficult or disorienting. I wanted to publish this evidence so that the American...
And the big thing with that video, I'm not going to play the whole thing, was for me was the resting shaking. the resting shaking.
Which, again, like you said, it's not something that we should really make light of as far as like an illness goes.
Right.
But it has to be made known.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to some of the other things, like in the debate into Kamala Harris, and then I will cover Joe Biden's son and his dealings there. But Kamala, and I'll play that clip later with Mike Pence, was really pinned down and said, "Will you stack the court? Will you pack the court?" And what that means is, with Amy Coney Barrett, the court will be like 5-4 because Justice Roberts is left. Okay, let's just all admit it. He sides more with the left than he does with the right, even though he was appointed by George Bush. But what they're not saying is, will you try to put extra people on the Supreme Court? And by doing that, they could pack it. They could make it 11. They could make it 13. They could, if they had the votes in the Senate, which they need 50 plus 1, they could pack it. They could pack it with as many as they want. Now, I believe it's been this way for 100, 150 years. I mean, it's like been this way
started
forever.
out with 6.
Started out with, yeah. But if FDR tried to pack the court, and people were not happy with that.
Right.
Okay, so what that would do would really put all the power into the executive and not have imbalance. Now, here's the thing. The president has the right. It would be one thing if 3 people or 4 people or 5 people, there's vacancies and he's appointing them, that's his duty. But to add the extra seats just to get extra votes, right, that was court packing. So he's asked, Kamala Harris wouldn't say either way. And then Joe Biden says, just yesterday, he said, "You'll have to vote me in for me to tell you."
Right.
That's insane.
The world. Look, some of you have covered international politics before. The rest of the world's looking at us. It's an embarrassment. It's a pure embarrassment. You gotta stop. Now, know my opinion of court packing when the election is over. Now, look, I know it's a great question, and I don't blame you for asking it. But you know, the moment I answer that question, the headline in every one of your papers will be about that. Other than focusing on what's happening now. The election has begun. There's never been a court appointment once an election begun, but 4 million or so people have come. The rest.
So it'll be on me and my position rather than us as a group with the media attacking Trump. But that's not what we want, is it, media? Is it? Work with me. Don't ask me tough questions. Okay? That's how I'm going to get elected, is if you don't ask me the tough questions. Unbelievable. Where do I stand on fracking?
There is no position whatsoever that a presidential candidate cannot reveal before the election. There is no position that they should not reveal before an election. The whole point of us electing you or not is based on what you're going to do after you get elected.
Right. All right, so here is from Tuesday night's debate, which Mike Pence won hands down, obliterated Kamala Harris. But I want to really zoom in on some of the specifics here. Yeah.
When you talk about accepting the outcome of the election, I must tell you, Senator, your party has spent the last 3.5 years trying to overturn the results of the last election. It's amazing. When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, the FBI actually spied on President Trump and my campaign. I mean, there were documents released this week that the CIA actually made a referral to the FBI documenting that those allegations were coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And of course, we've all seen the avalanche, what you put the country through for the better part of 15 years.
I don't know what she hears.
Until it was found that there was no obstruction, no collusion, case closed. And then Senator Harris, you and your colleagues in the Congress tried to impeach the President of the United States over a phone call. And now Hillary Clinton has actually said to Joe Biden that in her words, under no circumstances should he concede the election.
No conceding.
Let me just say, I think we're going to win this election. President Trump and I are fighting every day in courthouses to prevent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris from changing the rules and creating this universal mail-in voting that will create a massive opportunity for voter fraud. When we have a free and fair election, we know we're going to have confidence in it, and I believe in all my heart that President Donald Trump's going to be reelected for 4 more years.
He was asked, will Donald Trump accept the results of the election?
And then his answer was so spot on. Are you kidding me? Your party just spent the last 3.5 years contesting the results of the last one. Really? And she's over there going...
So another point was that it was asked about fracking. I guess this is a really big deal. And would Joe Biden ban fracking? Now, Joe Biden has come out and said, I will not ban fracking, but he has previously, especially in the...
both he and Kamala have previously come out saying, of course we would ban fracking, and have now both come out saying, no, we won't.
Exactly.
No more, no new fracking. And we are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
Well, what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping pipes?
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in the Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated.
This is amazing to me because this is these were the Democrat debates, primaries, and that whole time he's running and for the primaries, he's saying we're going to eliminate fossil fuels and we will ban fracking. And then all of a sudden he's asked about it, and we're all supposed to. It's an incredulous question. Of course I won't. Well, wait a minute. You already said that you would.
Right.
I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel, and I am not going to cooperate. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends. Number one.
No drilling for the oil industry at all. How are you gonna power your cars? No drilling at all. Like, that's an insane statement.
I know.
That means no gas.
Well, but that's the Green New Deal.
Consecutive American presidents have enjoyed stints of explosive economic growth due to a boom in oil and natural gas production. As president, would you be willing to sacrifice some of that growth, even knowing potentially that it could displace thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of blue-collar workers in the interest of transitioning to that greener economy?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. No more, no new fracking. No more, no new fracking.
I just don't understand why the media doesn't call him out.
Well, and what I don't understand is, honestly, my opinion of fracking may surprise some people. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan.
Okay, so why can't he just own the stance, whichever side it is? Mm-hmm. That's what I don't get on all of this. Okay, It said in a comment to somebody on Facebook today who was trying to join in a conversation, but skirting the topic of we're going to get to later. And I'm like, there are things that Trump does that I disagree with, and I call him out, and I own the fact that I still support him in spite of those things, right? Biden supporters just want to, do cognitive dissonance. No, if there are things that you support about this guy, support him. If there are things that you don't support, say it out loud. We do. About Trump. If he has a stance,
because my wife has to
go
on at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm in trouble.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see. Nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with
out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with
that. It should be over at that point.
He was trying to say, I want to talk about the issues. Mm-hmm. I've got some questions. And he's like, the only question is whether you're for Trump or for me. And it's a race issue for me, is what he was saying.
During the 1988 presidential run, we did have the media exposing Joe Biden.
We have played this entire 5-minute clip on our show. We're going to play it again.
Yeah, because I feel like for some reason, not just other people need to see it, but you all need to be reminded of who he is, because I'm sensing some sadness and a little dissension when people are looking at the polls.
Yeah.
I've seen it
Which
on
are
Twitter.
always false, by the way.
People are forgetting who Joe Biden is. And if you
We're going to
know
take a walk
who he
down
is,
memory lane here.
then you are able to combat people and what, if you just have to remember who he is.
Right.
First in her family to ever go to college.
So this particular clip, I'll set it up. So listen to what he's saying here, and he plagiarizes his speech from the UK Labour Party.
Right.
Wave Gladys, the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university.
Joe Biden has been caught plagiarizing more than any other politician in order to craft the image that he is an intelligent, middle-class American.
Presidential candidate Joseph Biden today faces a controversy. 3 weeks ago, at a debate at the Iowa State Fair, he used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seemed to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Wave Gladys, the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university.
During his 1988 presidential campaign, Biden was caught plagiarizing UK Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock. When Biden referred to his wife being the first woman in her family to earn a college degree, and that his ancestors worked long hours before they would get to play football.
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania and who come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground, and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
Biden was also caught by the New York Times plagiarizing Robert Kennedy in his speech that promised to measure the achievements of students in school.
He reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
Cannot measure the health of our children,
The health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
That right there is not something that I've ever heard anyone say. It's completely plagiarized.
Yes.
The joy of their play.
Yeah.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
What's very interesting is that came from the New York Times exposing that and NBC.
Yeah.
All without
Back when
credit.
they were real reporters. When he was a law student, Biden was caught plagiarizing someone else's work without using the proper citation.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
5 pages. 5 pages.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
Got that right.
He was given an F.
An F.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
It's so amazing that the media just wipes it away now.
Sure.
He's a super liar, a super plagiarizer. He's not more moral than Donald Trump, okay? Has Donald Trump been plagiarizing anybody? Okay?
I didn't need to. Additionally, Biden was caught lying about his academic accomplishments.
This one's really crazy.
When he claimed that he was a top student with a full scholarship.
To the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim, or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Is it a wise idea, though, to take something that personal, anyway, from another politician and try and appropriate it to your own campaign?
I think it was a stupid thing to appropriate material that was really very personal, that was someone else's.
Most people didn't know who he was. Joe Biden, and now they're going to say, oh yeah, he's the guy who plagiarized. That's
a lot of
their
people.
first. Politically, that's devastating.
These clips are devastating. He looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out.
If they're going to do things that are stupid as well as immoral, then they're probably too dumb to have the job of president.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob?
Terminal condition.
Terminal.
Furthermore, Biden claimed that he earned 3 college degrees, when in reality he was confirmed to be in the bottom of his class and earned just 1
Joseph
degree.
Biden may have more explaining to do. The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
You want this guy to be your president.
Oh my God.
Don't tell me that Trump lies. Here's the thing. My whole episode here is that Joe Biden is not the more moral choice, okay? Listen, we have to get back to the issues. You have to put aside, we're going to call it a wash, even though I think Donald Trump has proven to be the more moral choice. And I can make that case very strongly, I believe. However, Joe Biden is not a moral person. He is a serial plagiarizer. He is a serial toucher, sniffer, pedophile,
probably rapist.
And we're going to get to what his son has done in covering up his son. Everything that they accuse Donald Trump of, he is guilty of and more.
Biden is guilty of.
Biden is guilty of more. And there's facts to back it up. Donald Trump Jr. is working with Russians. No. Hunter Biden was working with the Ukraine
and the Russians.
Ukrainians. Yeah, and the Russians. He got
$305 million, $3.5 million dollars from the wife of the mayor
of Moscow.
Yes,
we'll get it out.
We're gonna get it out.
Okay,
but I'm not running for president.
Right.
Okay.
Now here we have Joe Biden giving a eulogy for Robert Byrd. Here again,
this is one of the worst things.
I just wonder why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris aren't meant to denounce white supremacists.
Why don't they have to denounce the KKK when he is given the eulogy of Robert Byrd of the KKK?
Who started, not only was he a member of the KKK, he started his own chapter and recruited 140 people.
Where is the question? Why didn't Chris Wallace pin Biden down and say, both of you, will you denounce today? Biden, will you denounce your association with the KKK and you having given the eulogy of Robert Byrd? And then Trump, will you? It was just directed at Trump. He's not the one that gave the eulogy at Robert Byrd's funeral.
Dr. Robert C. Byrd was a parliamentary library, a keeper of the institution of the Senate, and he was the institution itself. But to me, and many people here today, like guys I see, Bill Bradley and Jim Sasser, who long left the Senate for greener pastures, and I hope better remuneration. We used to kid about that too, but for a lot of us, he was a friend, and he was a mentor, and he was a guide. As also noted, Robert C.
Friend and a mentor and a guide.
It's unbelievable.
Stop honoring former KKK leader Robert Byrd. He's the longest serving senator in U.S. history. West Virginia Democrat, served for over 51 years. Most people enter politics after a life in business. He formed a chapter of the KKK. He recruited new members for the Klan. He was a leader of his chapter. His efforts earned him the title Exalted Cyclops. In 1944, the country was focusing on stopping fascism. In Bird's mind, there was another enemy to focus on. I shall never fight in the armed forces with a Negro by my side. Rather, I should die 1,000 times and see Old Glory trampled in the dirt, never to rise again, than to see this beloved land of ours become degraded by race mongrels, a throwback to the blackest specimen from the wilds.
That's a direct quote from Robert Byrd.
1944.
Stop.
When Robert Byrd was first ran for Congress in 1952, he claimed he joined the Klan because it was an exciting and anti-communist. No man can lead the Klan. He takes an oath not to, and you can't lead the Klan. Basically, that's the Klan rules. Byrd is the only senator to oppose 2 black men who were nominated to the Supreme Court. One was Thurgood Marshall, nominated by Democrat President Lyndon Johnson. The other was Clarence Thomas. Byrd spoke for 14 hours straight during a 60-day filibuster against the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Byrd passed away in 2010 at age of 92. He lived 73 years longer. Hang on. Then Michael Donald, who was lynched by the Klan at age 19.
There are a lot of people who wrote these eulogies for Senator Byrd in the newspapers, and I read a bunch of them. And they mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with a Ku Klux Klan. What does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected.
Just no big deal. It's just the KKK.
Just a fleeting association.
The United States president excuses someone he claims used race, racial hatred, and actively sought to destroy black lives simply because he was running for political office. I doubt that.
Today, our country has lost a true American original. My friend and mentor.
American original. And that's true. He was
to the side.
He was an American original.
Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
Nobility. Why in 2020, when we are examining our past and removing the most vile elements, why in the world? You've got Marshall University rename the Robert C. Byrd Biotech Center for someone who wasn't in the KKK. Dear Lord in heaven.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
These people are hypocrites of the highest level.
Okay, so Joe Biden's son, Hunter, it's worth noting that he was discharged dishonorably from the military for possessing articles, drug paraphernalia. He's a cocaine addict. Now, people got on Donald Trump for bringing it up. Why is it important? Because if Joe Biden is going to use his position to cover up for his son,
which we know that he verbally admitted to having done,
is a cocaine addict and has a rather, I call him he's an aficionado for strippers. And the Senate report came out saying that he paid for prostitutes and sex from Eastern European women, and that money went to most likely a sex trafficking ring. So these were sex trafficked women that he was having sex with. He's a deadbeat dad. One of these strippers, who he must have had some sort of relationship with, took him to court because she was pregnant with his child, and he denied it even with a paternity test. And she had to produce evidence and take him to court so she would get child support. He's a deadbeat dad, and Joe Biden covers for him. So you have a guy who has an aficionado for strippers, who is dishonorably discharged from the military. You have Joe Biden, who enters into governmental service and becomes a millionaire. Who knew that 47 years in Congress and vice president would make you a millionaire? But it does. And his family living lavishly. There's things with his brother and things like that. But Hunter is his son. And the really reason the left had to go after Donald Trump, and we'll cover this in the second half of our show, really, that it has come out that even the corrupt deep state FBI and CIA knew that Hillary Clinton was trying to plant this story, they all ran with it. They were like, she's trying to plant this story. Okay, what do we do? Well, run with it. Go with it. Put it out in the media. Okay? So they put it out in the media, and the media runs with it. And Kamala Harris is still running with it.
Right.
Because they're still trying to cover the tracks
of Hunter Biden.
Well, I would say Hillary Clinton, the deep state. There's two different stories here.
Right.
Two completely different stories. But Joe Biden was vice president. While he was vice president, he was the point man for the Ukraine. Okay? And
his son just so happens to get a job working with the Ukrainians.
It's just sitting on the board of one of the most corrupt organizations, energy organizations in the Ukraine. Now this
Ukraine goes to investigate Hunter Biden.
I'm going to get to that in a second. Okay. Well, okay. I have a video for that, but we can explain it. The Ukrainian prosecutor investigates Hunter Biden and Burisma, and I have the video here where Joe Biden says, if you don't stop this investigation into Burisma and the company that my son is on,
he says it to the entire country of Ukraine.
Right.
Then we will not give you the aid. This is
$1 billion.
The epitome of quid pro quo that they accused Trump of. Biden actually did it, and then is proud of having done it and says it out loud. Leah's got the clip of that, which is great. And then the prosecutor gets fired.
Yeah. In 2006, Ukrainian prosecutor General Viktor Shokin, in his investigation of corruption involving Burisma Holdings, a natural gas company, identified Hunter Biden as the recipient of over $3 million from the company.
I can't.
Not wanting this corruption exposed, Joe Biden swung into action using U.S. loan guarantees as hostage while demanding Shokin be fired.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Someone who's not going to go after and expose your son.
All right, now we have Burisma admitting in Ukrainian courts because that Poroshenko was ousted by like 70 to 30% or something by an actor who played an anti-corruption guy running for president, and he wins.
Played president,
and then he won presidency.
Yes,
and he played an anti-corruption president, and he wins. He allowed these investigations to continue. So Burisma admits in court that it did bribe Joe and Hunter Biden. A developing story about the case of Ukrainian gas holding company Burisma against People's Deputy of Ukraine has revealed that Burisma did in fact bribe Joe and Hunter Biden with large cash payments. The only question is, how much did they receive? In its dismissal of the claim, the District Court of Kyiv indicated that representatives from Burisma are only refuting the amount of money the company paid to Joe and Hunter Biden. Burisma is not, it is important to note, refuting that it did in fact pay these two some large sums of cash, which is still to be determined. On his Facebook page, the prosecutor explained that Burisma has now admitted that it bribed Joe Biden. Why is the media not covering this? They covered him lying about his degrees in '88.
It says with a $900,000 lobbying lump sum.
So it's not $1 billion. But here, this was the loan agreement was $1 billion. That's totally different than what Joe Biden was given. Okay, now where are Joe Biden's tax records? Okay, the court separately noted Burisma in its statement actually does not dispute the facts of the payment. only their size. That is, it agrees that it paid Biden and his son, but it does not agree that these are the amounts. The fight against international figuring this whole out continues. In addition to bribing Joe Biden and his son, Burisma are also reportedly paid off another man, a Polish politician and journalist who sits on Burisma's board of directors, and Devin Archer, who has just had his Devin Archer is one of his best friends and business partners who sat on the board with Hunter Biden. Now, in a separate case, he was accused of defrauding Native Americans here in the United States, and a jury found him guilty. But the judge, who is wife of one of Mueller's top lawyers on investigating Donald Trump, vacated that jury's guilty plea or guilty verdict.
Oh my gosh.
It's been overturned.
Wow.
Devin Archer's going to jail.
Wow.
His good friend.
Wow.
His good friend on this board here is going to go to jail.
But Hunter Biden isn't going to jail yet.
Yeah.
Now, Trump did say, I think it was today on Rush, that if he is elected, and I know he said this the first time, okay, but he had to fight an entire coup, all right? He's like, these people are going to jail. Okay?
We'll see.
Like, because I guess the Axios had come out today saying that
Barr's not giving any updates before the election.
Well, he's not going to do anything until after the election. Okay. Now, Trump was incredulous about that on the show.
Right.
He's like, I would have a hard time believing that. And it's just rumored right now. Barr hasn't come out to actually say that.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump was referring to. He's like, dude, when I get elected, if I get elected again, this is going to happen. These people are going to get prosecuted.
In the newly released Senate report,
and he can only say that because he knows he has the facts.
It claims that Hunter Biden was sent thousands of dollars to people involved in sex trafficking industry, as well as to non-resident alien women in the United States who are citizens of Russia and the Ukraine, and who have subsequently wired funds that they have received from Hunter Biden to individuals located in Russia and the Ukraine. Imagine if Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump did that.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, the records also note that some of these transactions are linked to what appears to be an Eastern European prostitution or human trafficking ring, per the Senate report. Okay, we do know that Hunter Biden was getting between $50,000 to $83,000 per month for 5 years to sit on an energy board when he has zero zilch experience in energy. Okay,
so just a thought. Donald Trump Jr., you brought him up, said in an interview the other day, I think it was with Glenn Beck, he was like, what they accused me of doing, having met with the Russians, okay, to come up with some sort of convoluted story against the Hillary campaign, the Hillary campaign actually was doing.
They
right?
met with Russians.
And it just hit me as to why, you know that they're going to have a diversion, but why not come up with something that's completely different? Like, why do the exact same thing that you're doing? Because you're going to hear these hints of Russia's going to come up. These things are going to come up. Ukraine's going to come up. And so it has to make sense, right? So when it comes to them coming after Trump with the call with the current president of the Ukraine, it had to be that, because that way, when Ukraine pops up and you hear all these whispers or these different things, you can go, oh, but that applies to what we're accusing Trump and his son.
So why is Joe Biden so soft on China? Last year, he shrugged off concerns over the China threat. He said, come on, man. I mean, they're not bad folks. Bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us. In 2013, then Vice President, this from the New York Post, Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden flew across Air Force 2 to China. Less than 2 weeks later, Hunter Biden's firm inked a $1 billion, floats around a lot around here, doesn't it? A $1 billion private equity deal with a subsidiary of the Chinese government's Bank of China. The deal was later expanded to $1.5 billion. In short, the Chinese government funded a business that it co-owned along with the son of a sitting vice president. If it sounds shocking that a vice president would shape U.S.-China policy as his son, who has scant experience in any private equity, clinched a coveted $1 billion deal with an arm of the Chinese government, that's because it is. I can't even.
And Trump is so incredulous because he knows that all of these facts are right there. He has declassified all of this stuff. It's being held up right now.
In 2009, Hunter co-founded a new venture called Rosemont Seneca Partners. Rosemont and Hunter were given extraordinary opportunities in China while his father was vice president. Here are some key facts. New York Post. Joe Biden met with Hunter's Chinese partners days before they established a new investment firm in 2013. Hunter landed in Beijing aboard Air Force Two, accompanying his father. Here's the thing. Our government paid for him to go and make and ink this deal with China. He caught a ride. Okay? On this official visit to China, less than 2 weeks later, Hunter's company, Rosemont Seneca, became a partner, a literal partner with the Chinese Communist Party.
Which just goes to prove that it was a government deal.
Sure. Christening the new firm Bohai Harvest, the partners set out to raise $1 billion. Representatives of the Biden family have denied any connection between the vice president's visit and Hunter Biden's business. However, a representative from the company told the New Yorker earlier this year that Hunter used the opportunity to introduce his father to the Chinese private equity executive Jonathan Lee, who became the CEO of this Hunter Biden Chinese Communist Party deal.
Right.
So, okay. Number 2, this company, BHR, is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, exceeding their initial fundraising goal. They set a target for $1.5 billion for the new fund. The company's website now brags it manages over $15 billion in assets in an RMB, which is equivalent of $2.1 billion in today's dollars. Under the terms of the deal, this company, Hunter Biden's company, in which Hunter's firm held an equity stake, would be a lead investor in the fund. Other investors included the China Development Bank and China's Social Security Fund. Hunter Biden holds an equity stake in a company that funds China's Social Security Fund.
Why?
And here's the thing.
Why?
Joe Biden can't be president with this is a conflict of interest. Okay? Hunter and his partners had prominent roles within the company. Despite his relative lack of private equity experience, Hunter landed a prominent role with the new company. Under the terms of the original deal, Rosemont Seneca, Hunter's firm, shared a 30% stake in BHR with the Thornton Group, which was run by James Bolger, the son of longtime Massachusetts State Senate President Billy Bolger. Hunter and Bolger joined the board along with Devin Archer, Hunter's longtime business partner, who's going to jail. Archer seems to be with Hunter.
Why doesn't Archer squeal at this point?
That's a good question.
To get some time off. If I'm Archer, I'm like, dude, I'm throwing Hunter under the bus.
BHR represented a unique investment opportunity. BHR's relationships weren't the only unique thing about the company. Rosemont Seneca was getting a piece of something that no other Western firm had. A private equity fund inside the recently established Shanghai Free Trade Zone with a focus on international acquisitions. With the backing of the state-owned Bank of China, one of the country's big four financial institutions, BHR had access to the types of deals that most Western firms only dreamed of.
Unbelievable.
BHR invested in strategically sensitive assets in China and the United States. In December 2014, BHR became an anchor investor in the IPO of China General Nuclear Power Company, a state-owned nuclear power company involved in the development of nuclear reactors. Not only is CGN a strategically important company in China, it was also facing legal scrutiny in the United States. In 2016, CGN was charged with espionage by the Justice Department for stealing U.S. nuclear secrets. And Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, his firm is investing in a company that stole our nuclear secrets. Joe Biden would never pass a security clearance. He would never pass security clearance. And as a president, you don't have to, but everybody else does.
Right.
He would never pass it because this is major, what's the word where you can blackmail people, right? It wasn't an isolated incident. In 2015, a state-backed real estate conglomerate acquired a controlling stake in Rosemont Realty, a sister company of Rosemont Seneca, where Hunter served as an advisor. He's so smart. He can advise Ukrainian energy.
I know.
He can sit on an equity board, and he can sit on this realty board as an advisor. He is so smart. He can advise on everything down to brain surgery because he's so smart.
Yeah.
Or it goes to show you that power equals money. As part of the deal, the Chinese promised $3 billion for commercial office property acquisitions in the U.S., a major windfall for the company. So we're gonna buy $3 billion as commercial property, and you get to be our realtor.
Tit for
at
tat.
6%. You're looking at millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Or 3%, however you divide your realtor fee.
It's so good for Hunter.
It wouldn't be Hunter's last episode, and that's making a deal with him. We're going to do it. We'll spend, and this is how China launders money, anyways.
Sure.
Okay. I say China shouldn't owe anything in the United States. Just take it all back. It wouldn't be Hunter's. Give it back in reparations. Okay. Here. You heard it here. Resistance chicks. Take everything owned by CCP people and the Chinese government, or even foreign Chinese people who are investing in the United States. No, because you're part of the Chinese Communist Party. Take it all, give it to the black people in the United States. Reparations done.
It's a little bit difficult to do. Reparations don't there's too many African Americans. There's too many black people that are not African American.
Doesn't matter. I would rather see Americans.
Okay.
This is a really great idea, and I feel like we could get Black America on our side with this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really great. I'm going to run on this. Campaign promise.
I think it's racist.
I think it's perfect.
I think it's awful.
I think it's perfect.
How about this?
I feel like this is a compromise with the left.
Well,
I will compromise with you.
No.
If the reparations come from taking the stuff from China, we're good.
No. I think that the reparations should only go to people under a certain income of any race.
Then you're still not going to be the reparations. It's still going to be on our back. I'm just saying, let's get it over with. It wouldn't be Hunter's last episode with Chinese capital. In May 2017, he met with Yi Jinming, chairman of the Chinese energy company CEFC, to discuss investment opportunities in the U.S. After meeting, Yi sent a 2.8 carat diamond to Hunter, along with a thank you card. When 6 months later,
hang on.
Was arrested.
I got a thank you card today. It did not have a 2.8 carat diamond in it. Where's my 2.8 carat diamond?
6 months later, a CEFC executive was arrested in New York on unrelated bribery charges, and his first phone call was to Hunter's uncle, James Biden.
Wow.
James told the New York Times that he believed the call had been meant for Hunter, and that he had passed on his nephew's contact information. Yi, now accused of bribing a Communist Party official, has been detained in his native China. This is a troublesome pattern here. Troublesome pattern. And then there was the Senate release of the explosive Hunter Biden report. All right, so Robert Byrd, my friend and my mentor. All right,
that's what Hillary said.
They both said that. I just closed that article. It said Joe Biden, Robert Byrd's my friend and mentor.
Unbelievable. How is he all these people's mentor?
That's a good question. All right, so this is a clip we all should remember.
How many of us remember what Biden said about African Americans?
The first sort of mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
I want to read that one more time. I mean, you got the first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and nice looking guy. That's storybook. Is that the white half of Barack Obama that's clean and articulate?
It's so racist. And the fact that the left gives Joe Biden a pass but tells us that just because we support Trump and we love all people of all color that we are racist.
What happens? Was MLK not articulate or clean? Or bright or good looking? He literally says the first. You have the first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean. And I'm pretty sure
Why this was said after Clarence Thomas. Like, and what does mainstream mean anyway? I mean, does that... And just the fact that you would say that he's clean is the lowest of low. Like, I can't even... I'm speechless. I've got nothing. I got nothing. I don't know how these people are supporting him. I just don't know.
So Joe Biden says
you can't vote for a man just because you hate Trump. You cannot do that. You know how I know? Because I hated Hillary and I did not vote for Trump because I had to vote my conscience.
So Joe Biden said he was able to stay in his basement during the pandemic because black women were stacking the grocery shelves. That video on Twitter had millions of views, but Twitter, because it made Biden look bad, it is his own clip, has taken it down. Has taken it down.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we lost your volume here.
Imagine if Trump had said that.
Oh my God.
Joe Biden, the reason I was able to stay at home during the pandemic is because black women were able to keep the grocery store shelves stacked.
Stocked.
Stacks.
Unbelievable. This guy is such a joke. Ben Patterson says apparently he never met Ben Carson.
Yeah, he never met any great black people. Because there were many, many around. Go, you know the thing, right? All right, let me see here. So back to the debates, and we're going to kind of move on here. We're going to go to Kamala Harris real quick. China censors Mike Pence debate comments on China.
They literally, the screen went this.
No signal, please stand by. And then when Kamala Harris went to give her statements on China, it was...
Go ahead. Carrie says, I know many Democrats who are not voting at all because they can't support Biden.
This is the CNN feed in China, the moment the debate turns to China. What was that?
Oh, Carrie just says, I know a lot of Democrats who won't be voting because they cannot support Biden.
That's good to know. Thank you for that. Kamala Harris. Now, this is my big thing. Personally, we all have all the different things. Go, you know the thing.
No, I think this is the most important.
But to me, this is the biggest deal. Okay, I'm sorry for the girls who got sniffed. I'm sorry for Ukraine and Burisma. You know, mess with the devil, you're gonna get burned. But babies, and I'm talking the most innocent among us.
Right.
Kamala Harris was the Attorney General in California when David, what's his last name? Daladian from the Centers for Medical Progress had put out all the videos that I think that fortunately most of us have seen.
Yeah.
On the trafficking of baby parts, some of which were admittedly had to be harvested while the baby was alive. First of all, you don't dismember the baby until they put a big needle in there, they kill the baby. The baby's not allowed to come out alive. The baby has to die before you start to take it apart. But many of these parts, they needed to be from an alive fetus and not dead. So they would take the parts from the baby without killing the baby first.
Unbelievable.
And they have this on record, and there's no argument against this. Okay? There's no argument against the fact that this was an undercover journalist
investigation. When you say no argument, what you mean is it actually happened.
Right.
It is factual. No one contests that this actually happened, that this practice was taking place.
So I'm just going to go here to...
this may be disturbing for some viewers.
But this is the biggest issue for me in the election. And the reason it is because if we, as the people of the United States, do not stand up for the most innocent among us. Now, I would think that anybody who is who is what they would call making abortion safe, legal, and rare would be against selling the baby parts.
Sure.
Okay, we don't want to glorify it, and we certainly don't want to make money off of it. It's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody should agree that it's a sad thing. The radical left is not. Kamala Harris is funded by, and was especially funded by, Planned Parenthood. So when Planned Parenthood is being exposed and we think that they're going to go down, I had no idea who Kamala Harris was. And at that time, she was Attorney General for California. And it went to her desk, expecting for the Attorney General to expose and prosecute Planned Parenthood.
And instead,
her previous prosecutor would have, because he was exposing the Catholic abuse scandal, and she dropped it.
Exactly. And we've covered that
dropped
on
it.
our show
So
as
she
well.
is for pedophiles,
right,
and for ripping apart babies. Okay.
Planned Parenthood for certain has known is that we can never take for granted that any of the gains that we have achieved will be permanent.
We cannot go backwards, and we cannot tolerate a perspective that is about going backward.
I'm David Daleiden, and I'm the founder and project lead with the Center for Medical Progress. 5 years ago, my undercover videos caught Planned Parenthood's top leadership trafficking and selling the body parts of aborted infants. America's biggest abortion business was desperate and furious, so they turned to their political patron, then California Attorney General Kamala Harris, for help.
She's standing beside us, strong.
She should have recused herself.
Exactly.
Because this is the exact same time. She's meeting with the opposition, who she should be investigating, and getting money from them.
Yep.
So she should have had to recuse herself.
Planned Parenthood's special request, Kamala Harris targeted me to punish and silence my message about the abortion industry and fetal trafficking. I'm not the first person to ever record undercover video in California. Local news reporters routinely record and publish undercover video exposing factory farming, corrupt medical practices, and unlicensed marijuana vendors. Yet somehow I have become the first person to ever have the California video recording law enforced against me for news gathering.
We will celebrate the fact that we know how to fight. We will celebrate the fact that we are prepared to fight.
Kamala Harris met in secret with a group of California Planned Parenthood executives in Los Angeles in March 2016. While she was running for U.S. Senate and promoting Planned Parenthood in her campaign. Action items from the meeting show that they discussed Planned Parenthood's legislative agenda in California, as well as Planned Parenthood's lies that my videos contained threats, with 2 of the Planned Parenthood witnesses in Kamala Harris's investigation present at the political meeting. Less than 2 weeks later, Kamala Harris sent 11 California DOJ agents to raid my 1-bedroom apartment, with explicit instructions from Planned Parenthood to seize the computer and video equipment that I was using to publish the undercover videos. California Penal Code 632 prohibits secretly recording a confidential communication without the consent of all parties, and defines confidential as a communication that you cannot reasonably expect will be overheard by other people. So my team was scrupulous to record our California videos in places of public accommodation like crowded restaurants, where the conversations were obviously overheard. But you can't necessarily say the same thing about local TV reporters in California, who have taped inside of private doctors' offices and inside of private homes. Yet not a single one of them has ever been charged with undercover video recording in California in the 60-year history of California's video recording law. Mine is the first and only case. And there's another piece to the California video recording law that specifically allows recording even a confidential conversation in order to gather evidence relating to violent crimes. The entire purpose of our video recording in California was to document and expose the violent crimes of fetal trafficking, including selling infants aborted alive and killing them through organ harvesting and medical battery against pregnant women. If those aren't crimes of violence, I don't know what is.
Here's the thing. It's very dangerous for a woman to have an abortion through a live baby and have the live baby parts taken out alive.
Exactly.
That's medical malpractice.
Never even considered our purpose or addressed those crimes, even though local Southern California law enforcement prosecuted and shut down 2 of Planned Parenthood's business partners based on my video recordings. By the way, those business partners, the Da Vinci companies, they actually admitted guilt in a $7.8 million settlement for illegally selling body parts from abortions at Planned Parenthood Orange County. Who was the top abortion doctor for Planned Parenthood Orange County supplying those body parts? Dr. Jennifer Russo, one of the participants in the March 2016 meeting with Kamala Harris and one of the Planned Parenthood witnesses. You have to wonder, if I had been investigating unsafe grocery handling practices, animal abuse, or unlicensed gun sales, would Kamala Harris have ever thought to pursue video recording charges against me? It's pretty obvious that the reason that I alone was targeted by Kamala Harris is because I dared to criticize Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry. What Kamala Harris did isn't treating people fairly or equally under the video recording law. In fact, Kamala Harris's deputy prosecutor, Jeanette Jerome, admitted in a court filing that the reason her office targeted me alone among all undercover reporters in California was because my videos were, quote, edited for shock value, and that made me, quote, more culpable than other undercover reporters in California. Obviously, I dispute the characterization that my videos were edited for shock value. What
They're
they
just
show
shocking.
Planned Parenthood doing is shocking enough. But more importantly, it is your First Amendment right to promote the significance of your own message. When she said that I was targeted because of the content of my videos, Kamala Harris's deputy prosecutor admitted that the reason that I was targeted and I alone was to punish what I have to say. Planned Parenthood sells baby parts. That's why I'm suing Kamala Harris, the California Attorney General, Planned Parenthood, and others in Los Angeles federal court for conspiracy to violate First Amendment civil rights. This is crucial to defend the First Amendment rights of all Americans to report on issues that matter and to listen to what we have to say to each other without fear of government punishment.
So that lady would be your president.
Guys, it's a no-brainer. I can't, and she would, I can't say will because Trump is going to win, but she would be the president. Joe Biden, do you realize Nancy Pelosi is coming out with her little mask on and messing her teeth up and going, 25th Amendment, okay?
That's not for Trump.
It's not for Trump. It's so that they can set up a system where Kamala Harris doesn't have to sign Biden out. It can just be Congress.
Right.
So it's not on Kamala that she got rid of Joe Biden. It's on the Congress.
And
they
the
are setting that up ahead of time.
Sad part is Joe Biden is so out of it he doesn't even know.
And if he did know, he wouldn't care.
He needs an out. So just real quick, Kamala Harris said something weird about Honest Abe. He did the right thing when it came to appointing a Supreme Court justice. Harris claimed at the VP debate that Abraham Lincoln refused to nominate a candidate for Chief Justice in October 1864 because Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do and wanted people to vote first. Lincoln, of course, never said that. He sent no nominee to the Senate in October 1864 because the Senate was out of session until December. He sent a nominee the day after the session began, and Samuel P. Chase was confirmed. Salmon P. Chase was actually confirmed the exact day. We didn't even talk about it. And Lincoln wanted to dangle the nomination before Chase and several other potential candidates because he wanted them to campaign for him. Lincoln's priority was winning the election, which was necessary to win the war, and he filled the vacancy at the first possible instant, and Kamala Harris was making up history. Also, out of 26 post-vice presidential debate analysts on cable, only 2 were Trump supporters. And now we're going to move on away from Joe Biden, probably, and Kamala Harris to photojournalists went undercover to expose white supremacists at riots, but found black bloc anarchists instead. So the New York Times finally discovered anarchists that spent the summer destroying American cities. Photojournalist Jeremy Lee Quinn was furloughed this year. So he set out to document the protests and the riots that beset cities across the U.S. following the death of George Floyd. Quinn expected to discover white supremacists had caused the havoc and the violence at the riots. But what he actually found shocked him. Left-wing anarchists who were extremely organized. May 31st, Quinn covered a Black Lives Matter protest in Santa Monica, California, where suburban moms were kneeling. Then he was alerted to a shoe store being looted about a mile away. He arrived to find young people pouring out of the store, shoe boxes under their arms. But there was something odd about the scene. A group of men, dressed entirely in black, milled around nearby like supervisors. One wore a creepy rubber Halloween mask. The next day, Quinn went to another protest and another store was being looted. A white man wearing all black smashed the window of the store by the crowbar, but he walked away without stealing anything. Quinn started poring over footage of looting that was happening across the country. Again, he noticed that white men dressed in black were often the culprits of the looting. He says, Jeremy writes, we can trace the techniques of these instigators at work back to where it all began, the Minneapolis Police 3rd Precinct fire, which is followed with a random photo from a protest as evidence or something. Video man. Here, you know, when the black guys are saying this is not us, but the white guys are taking over. Here's the white kid. White kid. White kids. White kids. Stop it! Quinn believed that the Caucasian men causing the damage were white supremacist supporters of Donald Trump, who were attempting to make Black Lives Matter protests appear to be in a negative light. In an effort to expose the alleged racist Trump supporters, Quinn went undercover and infiltrated the groups. Instead, he found that these destructive forces were actually true believers in insurrectionary anarchism. Over the next 4 months, Quinn marched along with the Black Bloc anarchists in half a dozen cities across the country. He was in Washington, D.C., where militant agitators harassed diners, and in Portland, where rioters launched fireworks at the Mark O. Hatfield Federal Courthouse. He says he respects the idealistic goal of a hierarchy-free society that anarchists embrace, but grew increasingly uncomfortable with the tactics used by some anarchists, which he feared would set off a backlash that could help Trump get elected. Quinn told the New York Times that the far-left anarchists were not a spontaneous eruption of anger or racial injustice.
At racial injustice.
Yeah. Like much of the mainstream media categorized the violence as it was strategically planned, facilitated and advertised in social media by anarchists who believed that their actions advanced the cause of racial justice. It had a cult-like energy. Quinn saw something else he did not expect during the protests. Black Lives Matter protesters praying together with Trump supporters in Tulsa. He detailed his experience on his website called Public Report, where he warned how dangerous far-left anarchist groups could be. Establishment media still continue to overlook trending anarchist Black Bloc tactics, especially in D.C., Portland, and Seattle, with satellite activity in Denver, Sacramento, and San Diego. Insurrectionary anarchist ideology and rhetoric, however, has permeated into the social justice movement with blazing efficiency. In our experience in Louisville, community was strong and gravitating towards nonviolent protests, he wrote. Earlier in the afternoon, we saw individual protesters shutting down agitators trying to use fireworks. But then there was the U-Haul, and out came all of the anarchist stuff.
They came with a goddamn U-Haul for the war.
For war.
So you actually see they came this way for a strategy. You gotta actually see that they came here for a strategy, why they came to the street, okay? This shit is really organized, you guys, alright? You guys, this shit is really organized. I said, like the other dude, why don't you just cut downtown? Well, there are some
they have wooden shields they made. Could you imagine shop classes now, wooden shields? So I wanted to explain that to you guys. I wanted to pop that up. A couple more. Actually, a couple more videos here from Kamala. Liar.
In November, it's going to be about literally our health and whether we live or die.
Thank you, guys. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, her. Mine too.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. They make really bad decisions.
Do you believe that Americans should have the right to vote at age 16?
I'm really interested in having that conversation.
Convicted, in prison, like the Boston Marathon.
18 to 24 years are really stupid, but let's lower the voting age.
Right. On death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
People on death row should have the right to vote. I think we should have that conversation.
Well, my question is, though, why is she skirting the question one way or the other? Again, when I say own it, I, as a debater, okay, could come up with a better, once you stand on your platform.
She doesn't want people to know. That's when she says, I think we should have the conversation, she means yes. Because that's Bernie Sanders, a progressive.
That's fine. You can argue it in a way that people will go, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
But
maybe why not? That's such a good idea.
Yeah, I think people like to have that conversation lined up.
She thinks we should do away with the Electoral College. Do you agree with that?
I think that I'm open to the discussion. I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal.
But would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
The food pyramid. What would people
yes.
to reduce red meat specifically?
Yes, I would.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.
Assault weapons that are already in circulation. What do you do about those?
We have to have a buyback program.
We have weapons, and she wants to take them back. There's nothing as a buyback.
And I support a mandatory buyback program.
Mandatory buyback program.
Victory. You have a Republican like
Kamala Harris calling the attack an attempted modern-day lynching.
Which tweet? What tweet?
About Jussie Smollett.
Okay, so I will say this about that case. I think that the facts are still unfolding.
Senator, do you have any comments on Jussie Smollett? Do you have any comments about it?
Kamala.
Oh my gosh. She is so extreme. She is so, these people, to quote Trump, they're not just socialists, okay? They are beyond
They're as
left.
far left as you
They're
can
as
go.
far left as you can possibly go.
So the debate commission said they wanted to do a virtual Zoom debate between Trump
they made
and
the
Joe
decision
Biden.
that it was going to be that.
Yeah.
They didn't consult the Biden campaign. They didn't consult the Trump campaign.
And the
they
reason
just
the Trump
unilaterally
campaign
made a decision.
Really doesn't want to do that is because Joe Biden uses a teleprompter for everything.
Exactly.
Even just answering questions.
Has Joe Biden ever used a teleprompter during local interviews or to answer Q&A with support?
What will your administration do to help them give him that chance?
Move it up here.
Move it up here as you're reading a teleprompter.
You know, there used to be a basic part.
Joe Biden possibly, reading his responses from a teleprompter.
Social distancing and wearing masks, which I never do when I walk outside of this house. I never fail to do it. Now, one day,
That's when you read something.
Yep.
Has Joe Biden ever used a teleprompter during local interviews
So he puts up a picture of his family, and you can see the teleprompter in the back. It's a reflection of the teleprompter.
or to answer Q&A? Trying to distract the American people. Can you say yes or no, right?
Teleprompter.
Yes or no? You can't answer the question.
You know, the rapidly rising
It's sad, but that's why Trump won't do a virtual debate.
Right. And you can't blame him. It's ridiculous.
See, and then Chris Wallace never pushed back, by the way.
Heard this president say one negative thing about white supremacists? Have you ever heard it? I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan.
March 16th, or March 2016.
David Duke, I got back in this race because of what happened in Charlottesville. People coming out of the woods carrying torches, their veins bulging. Close your eyes and remember what you saw.
Remember what you saw. It's his mental conditioning.
Hating violence, and the president gets asked to comment on it. What's he say? He says they're very fine people on both sides. And you had some very fine people in that room. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. You wouldn't even condemn David Duke, for God's sake. I reject David Duke, rejected David Duke. I rejected the KKK.
They have nothing but lies. They have nothing but lies.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated and no more subsidies for either one of those.
So, first of all, I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
They're such liars.
They are such liars. Everything that they say is a lie.
I think these are, I can't tell, I think these are Armenians or something for Trump, but I can't tell. So you have this guy he's a Biden. You have this other guy saying, you do know that Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And the guy said, if he did say that, I will tear up my sign. So watch this.
No. Okay, why can you? How come you said if you don't vote for me, you're not black? How come Biden said that? That's not racist. Is that not racist? He said that. Pull it out. Somebody find it. Please find it. He said that.
Prove it and I'll tear up my sign.
He said if you do not vote for me, you are not black. Word for word. Somebody please find that.
Senor, go out. What is this? It's true. The best Armenian flag in your hand.
You got more questions. I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump,
his face?
then you ain't black.
He didn't tear up his sign, though.
No.
He didn't tear up
But I love that these foreigners are pro-Trump.
Okay, Obama CIA Chief Brennan's declassified notes show Hillary framed Trump with a toxic brew of fictional Russia ties. Obama knew exactly what was happening. As real Donald Trump highlights this scandal, another question is rubbed raw. What did Biden know?
Obama was briefed by John Brennan himself about Hillary Clinton's plot with a capital P, to tie the Trump campaign with Russia in a very nefarious way. So these documents were declassified yesterday, and the president has rightfully shown and exhibited these documents as much as he could to highlight one very important factor, and that is the Obama administration, along with Joe Biden, have been in deep collusion with the so-called deep state that President Trump has been railing against. They have been in collusion to try and derail President Trump from the very beginning. The question that the president is posing by highlighting all of this today is, how much did Joe Biden, who's now looking to become the next president, how much did he know about this plotting in the background, this illegal spying on the Trump campaign? President Trump tweeted out this morning, now that the radical left Democrats got caught cold in the non-friendly transfer of government, in fact, they spied on my campaign and went for a coup, we are entitled to ask the voters for 4 more years. Please remember this when you vote. So in the long litany of items that we are talking about going into November 3rd, Jen, this collusion with Russia is now being turned on its head. The notes released yesterday now show that the Obama-Biden administration clearly tried to frame President Trump, then candidate Trump, with Russia, in spite of the fact that they were really turning the biggest, they themselves were guilty of this kind of Russian collusion. You have land deals with Moscow brokered by Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton helped bring about Putin's uranium global domination. And you also have now these notes actually showing that the Democrats are themselves guilty of the very Russian collusion they accused President Trump of.
And what did and how much did Joe Biden know? Paul Sperry says Hillary Clinton approved plot to frame Trump over Russia day after the DNC convention started, and it was the Clinton foreign policy aide Jake Sullivan who took the lead for campaign in spreading collusion hoax rumors about Trump-Russia links, Manafort and GOP Ukraine platform. There were, I don't know, I guess I could.
Sorry, guys.
Once again gave a non-answer. Joe Biden gave a non-answer.
Trying to answer you
The
now.
American people deserve a straight answer. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the straight answer is they are going to pack the Supreme Court if they somehow win this election. Men and women, I got to tell you, people across this country, if you cherish our Supreme Court, if you cherish the separation of powers, you need to reject the Biden-Harris ticket. Come November the 3rd, re-elect President Donald Trump, and we'll stand by that separation of powers in a 9-seat Supreme Court.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Her responses to that were, I mean, she went into that Abe Lincoln thing, and it was, I mean, she never answered the question, will you pack the courts? It's not that hard.
All right. So here we have, I think this is the kind of a cool thing from Donald Trump here.
Perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president. And I'm standing in front of the Oval Office at the White House, which is always an exciting place to be. I got back a day ago from Walter Reed Medical Center. I spent 4 days there and didn't have to. I could have stayed at the White House, but the doctor said, because you're president, let's do it. I said, fine. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to listen. These are great professionals. They've done a fantastic job. And by the way, not only at Walter Reed, all over the country, we have the greatest doctors in the world. We have the greatest nurses, the greatest first responders, law enforcement, by the way, incredible. Firefighters, everybody. They're just great. We have great people. This is a great country. But I spent 4 days there, and I went in, I wasn't feeling so hot. And within a very short period of time, they gave me Regeneron. It's called Regeneron. And other things too, but I think this was the key. But they gave me Regeneron, and it was like unbelievable. I felt good immediately. I felt as good 3 days ago as I do now. So I just want to say, we have Regeneron. We have a very similar drug from Eli Lilly, and they're coming out, and we're trying to get them on an emergency basis. We've authorized it. I've authorized it. And if you're in the hospital and you're feeling really bad, I think we're going to work it so that you get them, and you're going to get them free. And especially if you're a senior, we're going to get you in there quick. We have hundreds of thousands of doses that are just about ready. I have emergency use authorization all set, and we got to get it signed now. And you're going to get better. You're going to get better really fast. This is things that nobody even thought of a few months ago. The job that the scientists, the labs, everybody have done is incredible. Then in addition to that, you have various other drugs that help a lot. But these, I view these, I know they call them therapeutic, but to me it wasn't therapeutic. It just made me better. Okay? I call that a cure. So I want to get these things done. So we have to get them done. We have to get them approved. And I want to get them to the hospitals where people are feeling badly. It's much more important to me than the vaccine. But on the vaccines, we have many companies that are in final stages for the vaccines. Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, all great companies. But nobody else would have been able to do it. The FDA has acted as quickly as they've ever acted in history. There's never been a time, and no president's ever pushed them like I pushed them either, to be honest with you. But the FDA is approving that they're therapeutic, and I guess they are therapeutic. Some people don't know how to define therapeutic. I view it different. It's a cure. For me, I walked in, I didn't feel good. A short 24 hours later, I was feeling great. I wanted to get out of the hospital. And that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to be given the same treatment as your president. Because I feel great. I feel like perfect. So I think this was a blessing from God that I caught it. This was a blessing in disguise.
It's amazing.
I caught it. I heard about this drug. I said, let me take it. It was my suggestion. I said, let me take it. And it was incredible the way it worked. Incredible. And I think if I didn't catch it, we'd be looking at that like a number of other drugs. But it really did a fantastic job. I want to get for you what I got. And I'm going to make it free. You're not going to pay for it. It wasn't your fault that this happened. It was China's fault. And China's going to pay a big price, what they've done to this country. China's going to pay a big price, what they've done to the world. This was China's fault. And just remember that. So we're going to get you the drug. It's going to be free. We're going to get it into the hospitals as soon as you can, as soon as we can. And you'll see some amazing things happen because we have, our military is doing the distribution. It's called logistics. And they deliver hundreds of thousands of troops in a matter of...
Okay, so there was another video, I don't know if I have it, with Trump, that it was really good, where he was talking about...
the elderly.
The elderly. We have a dog who wants to get up on the chair, but that's not a doggy chair. It's really not a doggy chair. I think that when I end the show, you need to know that Governor Whitmer, there was a plot to kidnap her. Supposedly, it was Trump people, but this kid here... his name is Brandon Caserta, one of the ringleaders of the group of men arrested for a plot where the group of men planned to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. He hates Donald Trump. Trump is not your friend. Trump is a tyrant,
friend,
and
dude. And Trump is not your friend, dude.
he has an Antifa symbol in the background.
It amazes me that people actually like believe that when he's shown over and over and over again that he's a tyrant.
Okay, so obviously he's Antifa. Okay. Now a lot of people were bummed because Bill Barr said there's not going to be any reports coming out of the Durham report, supposedly because there's much more that he found. Okay, but after the election, what's going to happen? But Mike Pompeo says that more Hillary Clinton emails could be released before the election. He said, we've got the emails. We're going to get them out. We will get all of this information out so the American people can see them. He told Fox News earlier Friday, President Trump had called for the release of emails from Clinton's server, which she used throughout her tenure as Secretary of State. We don't know when or actually what's going to be in those emails. Let's see.
Go get your treat.
Amish Trump supporters have a Trump train, horse, wagons, carriage in Fredericksburg, Ohio. And you know it's getting crazy when the Amish get involved with the
they've got thin blue line flags.
Trump 2020. They got a bunch of people in their wagons. This is by far one of the best things I have ever seen in my life.
I love it.
This is great. Look at it. And
Bailey,
some of them
here.
don't even have flags. Some of them are just in the parade. All right, so you know it's bad when the Amish get involved for sure.
All right, so I have the Trump clip here. Let me screen share this Chick's page where you all should be subscribed and following here. Hang on, there's an ad. Sorry about the ad. I'm gonna mute it and
tough, compassionate experience.
To my favorite people in the world, the seniors. I'm a senior. I know you don't know that. Nobody knows that. Maybe you don't have to tell them, but I'm a senior. We are making tremendous progress with this horrible disease that was sent over by China. China will pay a big price for what they did to the world and to us. But we have medicines right now, and I call them a cure. I went into the hospital a week ago. I was very sick. And I took this medicine, and it was incredible. It was incredible. I could have walked out the following day, sooner. It was incredible the impact it had. And we're going to make that and others that are similar to it, almost identical, we're going to make them available immediately. We have an emergency use authorization that I want to get signed immediately. The FDA has moved at a level that they've never moved before. Things that would take 2, 3, 4 years are taking a matter of weeks or even sooner than that. And that's because of me. We're taking care of our seniors. You're not vulnerable, but they like to say the vulnerable, but you're the least vulnerable. But for this one thing, you are vulnerable, and so am I. But I want you to get the same care that I got. I got incredible care at Walter Reed, incredible
So
doctors.
that's not how it started out. I don't know why that didn't start out at the beginning. It was funnier at the beginning.
So, to my favorite
Here it
people
is.
in the world, the seniors. I'm a senior. I know you don't know that. Nobody knows that. Maybe you don't have to tell them, but I'm a senior. We are making tremendous progress.
Okay, that was it. We just wanted to play the beginning part because that
I
was
also
so
like
funny.
what he said. He said, you're not vulnerable, but in this case, you're vulnerable.
Yeah, that was
by the
really
way,
good.
if you see some fake news going around on Trump's coronavirus treatment, did not actually use cells from aborted babies.
Oh.
Misinformation about President Trump's coronavirus treatment continues to spread despite scientific experts' refutations to the claim that it involves cells from aborted babies. The Republican president is being accused of hypocrisy for using a COVID-19 treatment that allegedly was tested in a lab that used a cell line derived from the kidney of an aborted baby. The initial report came from a CBS News reporter who has been called out repeatedly for her blatant pro-abortion bias. Her report asserted the antibody cocktail that President Trump received for his COVID-19 infection and touted on Wednesday evening as a cure for the deadly virus was developed using cells derived from aborted fetal tissue, a practice the White House and anti-abortion groups oppose. According to CBS, the pharmaceutical company Regeneron said the drug was tested with the HEK 293 T cell line, which were derived from cells from an aborted baby in the Netherlands. Researchers used the cell line to determine the best 2 antibodies, which now make up the Regen COVID-2 cocktail, a company spokesman told the news outlet. Other news websites are also running biased reports against Trump, claiming the treatment would have been defeated by his own efforts to thwart the scientific research that made it possible fetal cell tissue from abortions. Buried in the report, however, was an acknowledgement from a Regeneron spokesperson that the cell line is not considered fetal tissue. According to the report, the lab tests used to evaluate the effectiveness of the antibodies were derived from what the MIT Technology Review pointed out was a standard cell supply known as HEK 293T. It originated as kidney tissue derived from an abortion in the Netherlands in 1973, the same year Roe v. Wade was decided. Those cells have since been, quote, immortalized in labs. They keep dividing endlessly, similar to a cancerous growth, and have gone through other genetic changes, according to MIT. Over such a length of time, they can become disassociated from their origin. It's how you want to parse it, said the Regeneron spokesperson, but the 293 T cell lines available today are not considered fetal tissue, and we do not otherwise use fetal tissue. Doctors David Prentice and Tara Sander-Lee, scientific experts on fetal tissue research, said the medicine that Trump received did not involve the destruction of any human life. No human embryonic stem cells or human fetal tissue were used to produce the treatments President Trump received, period. Wow. Trump has been a champion for life in the White House. Among his many actions, his administration has been ending taxpayer-funded grants to researchers who use aborted baby body parts in their experiments. For doing so, he has faced widespread criticism. Prentice and Lee said scientific research that uses ethically derived materials is proving to be successful. These successes demonstrate that the destruction of unborn babies' lives is not necessary for scientific advancement. So this particular cell line is in all like chickenpox vaccines. It's like in at least 4 or 5 vaccines that all kids get. And that is something for people that it did derive in 1973. You can trace it back to this, and it is a cell line from 1973.
But it replicates.
But it replicates and divides and replicates and divides and replicates and divides, and it's nowhere near the cell it was in 1973. Wow. To say they derived from stem cells from aborted babies is very disingenuous. This is a cell line that is not associated in scientific community as fetal tissue anymore, or fetal cells. Okay, I wanted to put that out there.
No, that's worth putting out there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but just so you know, Netflix has been indicted in Texas over the Cuties movie. That is good news. I want to end with one funny thing here. Keith Olbermann says terrorist Trump must be defeated and enablers must go to jail like William Barr and Amy Coney Barrett. It's weird.
Trump can be and must be expunged.
It's not even
the hate he has triggered,
a joke.
The Pandora's box he has opened, they will not be so easily destroyed. So, let us brace ourselves. The task is twofold. The terrorist Trump must be defeated, must be destroyed, must be devoured at the ballot box. And then he and his enablers and his supporters and his collaborators and the Mike Lees and the William Barrs and the Sean Hannitys and the Mike Pences and the Rudy Giulianis and the Kyle Rittenhouses and the Amy Coney Barretts
must be
prosecuted and convicted and removed from our society while we try to rebuild it and to rebuild the world Trump has nearly destroyed by turning it over to a virus. Remember it. Even as we dream of a return to reality and safety and the country for which our forefathers died.
Don't
but the fight is not just to win an election, but to win it by enough to chase, at least for a moment, Trump and the maggots off the stage and then try to clean up what they left. Remember it, even though to remember it means remembering that the fight does not end November 3rd.
Sean Hannity has to go to jail? Amy Coney Barrett has to go to jail? Bill Barr has to go to jail?
No, devoured and removed
Mike Lee,
from
a
society.
senator, has to...
Devoured and removed from society.
It's absolutely weird.
That's Trump derangement syndrome right there. I can't believe it. That is creepy. That is so creepy. The fight doesn't end November 3rd.
Just know social media sites and Democrats keep attacking Donald Trump for or censoring him for voicing concerns about voter fraud. But voter fraud is real. Texas mayor candidate charged with hundreds of felonies related to voter fraud. Temporary contractor threw Trump mail-in ballots in the trash in Pennsylvania. Brooklyn voters report mislabeled absentee ballots. It's a major problem. In Ohio, right here, Ohio voters will receive, who received wrong absentee ballots will receive corrected ones. California didn't count 100,000 mail-in ballots in March. How many were thrown out in your county? U.S. postal workers in New Jersey arrested, accused of dumping mail and election ballots. This is a real thing, and just this is a thief caught on camera stealing mail-in ballots in North County, California.
On Tuesday, just before midnight, David Sprouse's surveillance cameras captured this man stealing not just his mail, but his neighbors as well.
It was a younger-looking man, happened to come down the sidewalk. He was wearing a ball cap, face mask, gloves. Carefully opened up our mailbox, took out all of our mail.
As you can see from the video, the suspect proceeded to do the same thing to the mailbox belonging to Sprouse's next-door neighbor. It wasn't until the following morning when he found out his mail
face masks are great for
two
thieves.
Voting ballots were stolen.
Neighbor about 4 or 5 houses down happens to go for walks at about 5:30 in the morning, and she saw a pile of mail sitting on the trunk of a car, and she took a look at it and saw my name and address.
So, but his mail-in ballots or absentee ballots were taken.
Oh my gosh.
Is that crazy or what? All right, last article, and we're summing this up. I like this one. I want to leave you with some little hope. From the Federalist here, David Sound. I didn't vote for Trump in 2016, but I'd crawl over broken glass to vote for him now. I don't care about the tone of his tweets, nor of his opponent. If his opponents think he's rude. I've seen that he's a patriot who genuinely loves the United States of America and its people. And I concur with these sentiments, and I think you do too. Even though I had voted for every Republican presidential candidate in 1980, I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016, and we didn't.
Since 1980.
We didn't vote for him in 2016. We wrote in Kansas for President, Farms for Everyone. But I wanted Trump to win. Many Republican nominees had been huge disappointments to me, and I wasn't going to vote for yet another GOP candidate I thought would betray my trust. I couldn't imagine Trump as a genuine conservative who would champion limited government, respect individual freedom and liberty, and protect the unborn. But was I ever wrong? And Glenn Beck has apologized profusely to Donald Trump and to his family.
Yeah.
And this is what conservatism is about. We got it wrong. Hey, we're friends now. Isn't this great? Although I didn't vote for Trump in 2016, I would crawl over broken glass to vote for him in 2020.
I think I would say the same thing, actually.
I was convinced Trump was just another New York liberal. On election night, however, I smiled. I was happy that at least Hillary Clinton wouldn't be president, and I suspected that for the next 4 years with Trump would it be at least entertaining. The primary, and that's what we all thought. Okay, at least it was going to be great. It's going to be entertaining. The primary reason I didn't vote for Trump in 2016 was that I didn't believe him. I didn't trust that he would be pro-life, a non-negotiable issue for me. His bluster and bravado didn't appeal to me. I took him literally but not seriously, in contrast to his supporters who took him seriously but not literally. Credit to Peter Thiel for identifying this significant distinction. Don't take him literally, but take him seriously. That's what we do.
Right.
It's hilarious, man. Okay? By the time Trump took office, I was willing to give him a chance. He was the president, after all, and deserved the opportunity to prove himself. During the first year of his presidency, I was impressed by his commitments to keeping his campaign promises, unlike most politicians. By the end of 2017, I classified myself as a Trump supporter because of what he had already done as president. Trump's list of first-term accomplishments have been truly impressive. Building the strongest U.S. economy in my lifetime through historic business and personal tax cuts, resulting in billions of jobs created and record low unemployment. Cutting federal government regulations that had a stronghold on American business innovators and entrepreneurs. Confronting China's trade abuses and negotiating fair trade deals with Canada, Mexico, South Korea, and Japan. NAFTA. Eliminating the Obamacare individual mandate. That's me. Boom, 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 boom. Rebuilding our military through investments in our defense capabilities, as well as securing the largest military pay raise in a decade. Nominating, confirming more solid conservative circuit court judges. I think Glenn Beck says 1,200 judges seats that Obama left open. than any other first-term presidential administration, nominating and fighting for the confirmation of two originalists, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, to the Supreme Court, and then nominating Amy Coney Barrett. Moving the U.S. Embassy to Israel and Jerusalem, then brokering the Abraham Accord peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, consistently fighting Democrats to build the wall to secure our southern border, reinforcing and repairing hundreds of miles with more construction on the way. This is just a brief summary, okay? You've got, he created the Conscious and Religious Freedom Division, supporting health workers' conscious rights and working to defund Planned Parenthood. Trump has upheld the same objectives in his foreign policies, such as through the Global Health Assistance Policy and by ending funding for the pro-abortion United Nations Population Fund. In January 2020, he became the first president to attend and address a March for Life. The Trump administration's accomplishments have been in spite of relentless daily attacks, minute by minute, second by second, by the mainstream media, which act as the Pravda-like arm of the Democratic Party. Trump derangement syndrome is evident every day on television and online. Then, as details about Spygate were revealed in early 2018, I became a full-throated proponent of Trump, incensed that the Obama administration colluded with Clinton, the DNC, and legacy media to weaponize the federal government intelligence and law enforcement agencies against an opposition party candidate and then sitting president. When the Russia collusion hoax didn't work, Trump's enemies tried to take him down with fake impeachment charges over a legitimate phone call with a new Ukrainian administration. As president, Trump has largely kept his promises and fought against relentless opposition. I don't care about the tone of his tweets, nor if his opponents think he's rude. I've seen that he is a patriot who generally loves the United States of America and its people. I misjudged Trump in 2016, but I will do everything I can see to see that he is reelected in 2020, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Woo! Our sentiments exactly. Well said, David. Whoa, yeah. That is so good. That is so, so powerful. I don't think you can understand my personal disdain for President Trump as a nominee was so huge. So huge. That's why I have left up my video, Righteous Rant for Christians wanting to vote for Donald Trump. I couldn't see it. I could not see how anybody could support that man. And now
you can follow David.
Trump all the way, baby.
Spygate is real. You can
He's my dude. Like that one lady
David
said.
Sound.
She's like, we're like family. It's personal now. Mm-hmm. This man is my president. The first president in my entire life that I can say I am proud is my president. Mm-hmm. I dream about this man sometimes. Like I dream like well, I'm gonna meet with him. I'm gonna get to interview him or something. Like he is part of my psyche.
We didn't do our run up to.
No, we're gonna do that as a separate segment.
I know, but not today.
Right.
Tomorrow.
We had a really awesome experience with a young man whose car ended up in our ditch a couple of days ago across the street. And he is from Zimbabwe, and his name is Makaza. And we got an interview with him, and we prayed for him while all the cars were going, stopped.
That will, you know what? I think that's a good European worldwide news thing. Make sure that's out by Sunday.
Yes, I'm hoping we will do it tomorrow. We'll put it up tomorrow. We'll do our video on it, and I'm really, really excited about sharing our experience and firsthand account with someone from Zimbabwe and what is going on. The opposition party against Mugabe.
Well, Mugabe's vice president.
Thank you.
Who's not president.
All right, so great show today, by the way. Leah,
share this show. One. You can share this
really,
one.
Really
with
good one. Your friends and family need to know why. Okay, actually, Leah, maybe you could. To me, the punchline for why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not the morally superior choice here all boils down to babies. And I don't think that we showcase that as well and as fervently as you've been talking about it lately.
I think we did with the video, but Joe Biden himself knocking him off the rocker first, because Joe Biden doesn't say much about abortion. Kamala Harris is the linchpin.
But his entire career,
he says that under him Roe v. Wade will be in cement.
And these people, both of them, okay, are so hardcore that they want to get rid of the limits the term limit, not term limits, but the week limits of how
they want full-term abortion.
Thank you. And so what you were saying is you were comparing
I think I'm going to make
slavery.
a specific video on that with the sign out front.
You were comparing it to slavery, and you were saying, listen, slavery was really bad. And all these lefties want to say, if I had lived then, I would have voted against, or I would have been against slavery and all this, that, and the other. Well, actually, no, you wouldn't. Because murder is worse than slavery. And these people are pro-murder, and if you want to vote for them, then so are you, and you heard it out of the horse's mouth. Right here. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're my friend. You are voting pro-murder.
I've been saying this a lot. If
you can vote third party all day long, that's fine. But if you vote for them, you are voting pro-murder.
If Donald Trump were leading the union to end slavery, people would vote for Joe Biden if Joe Biden was running the Confederate side. I mean, like they would just lay it all down. Be like,
you can't vote for murder just because you don't like a guy.
Right.
Can't do it. All right. Thank you for the show. You guys can send us your letters to P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. We do have a mail call that we need to do. We're not going to do it right now. Maybe next Friday. We'll plan for that. We'll be here on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly roundup of European, UK, world news, all that jazz. Nigel Farage is coming out with a new kind of financing thing, which we'll probably talk about then. So anyway, remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's the truth.
Please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, Mass Faith 3, and Resistance Chicks. Anywhere else is all in the description where we're at. You can find our podcast on resistancechicks.com. Just click on the podcast there. You can download these, take them with you wherever you go, because you never want to miss Resistance Chicks. And I want to give you an inside tip hint. If these are a little bit long for you, go to the little cog on the YouTube thing, notch it up to 1.25 or 1.5, or if you're feeling really fun, go to 2x. Listen to Leah and Michelle on 2x. We will sound like the chipmunks, but you will be able to retain the stuff. You'll laugh throughout. It'll be even funnier than it is in regular time.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not the more moral choice, and you can take that to the bank.
All day long, baby. Okay. We love you. God loves you. God bless.
Was cold.